Thank you. I have just posted the agenda for this business meeting into the chat. Hopefully that's gone through for everyone. And let me see if I can share my slides immediately here. Let's see, we'll share and let me maximize this. Come on. All right. Well, I guess we'll just sort of plow right into this. I'm going to try to keep this, check my things off as I get to them so I don't forget anything. I've never really gotten the hang of Robert's Rules of Order, so if I do something wrong, please let me know. First of all, I'd like to do a call to order for this business meeting. Just a few notes as we get into this. The discussion of agenda items is generally led by the chair. Motions can be made during the course of the meeting, and a bit of a plea from our MOUG Secretary Newsletter Editor, Linda Bagley. If you choose to make a motion during the course of this meeting, please say who you are, because we are in a Zoom environment and, you know, things get said very rapidly and we don't always know who is saying what. She needs to take notes on all of this. I'd just like to welcome everyone on this lovely Thursday, March 6th, 2025, as I speak to you from our storage room at Vanderbilt. And first item of business is to adopt the agenda. And I'd like to, once everyone has actually browsed through it, I was wondering if we could get a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
And what's your name?
Oops, so sorry. You just said that. This is Autumn Faulkner.
Do I have a second?
This is Catherine Boslin, seconded.
Thank you. All in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye or raise your hand or do something that I can see.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
I have a lot of hands coming in. Any opposition to adopting the agenda? All right, I don't see any opposition coming in, and so we will consider the agenda adopted. The first thing on the agenda after the adoption is the approval of minutes from the 2024 business meeting. There is a link in the document that I posted. If we have any comments on that, now is the time, once you've read through it a bit. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the 2024 business meeting?
This is Sarah, so moved. Sarah Ward.
Thank you.
David, seconded.
All right, all in favor to approve the minutes from the 2024 business meeting, raise your hand or do something similar. All right. Any opposed? All right, we will consider the meetings for the 2024 business meeting approved. That leads us to first-time attendees. I don't know how you want to make yourselves known. We, unfortunately, when we were, with the data that we had for the people who are at this meeting, we don't have any information as to who is here for the first time. So please raise your hand if you're here for the first time. I'm seeing a few. We have at least 6. Thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed your stay so far and that you'll continue to come back when we start meeting in person again. The next order of business I have is, once I get back to my screen, we have 2 winners of the A. Ralph Papakian Travel Grant Award this year. And just for people who are new to MOUG, this grant supports the attendance at the annual MOUG meeting and in recognition of Ralph Papakian's mentoring role in music librarianship. It's especially intended to support the newer members of the profession in both public and technical services. What comes with the award is free conference registration for the MOUG annual meeting and 1 year's free membership in MOUG, including all 3 issues of the MOUG newsletter. And when we do hold our meetings in person, it also includes reimbursement for up to $200 in associate travel expenses for lodging, meals, or whatever they choose to use it for. This year, our 2 winners are R.P. Anderson of Kent State University and Terrence Sexton of Interlochen Center for the Arts. I didn't tell them to do this beforehand, but if you want to unmute yourselves quickly so the camera can jump to you, we'd more than welcome it. If you don't want to, that's fine as well.
Sure. Hello. Hi, everybody. Very glad to be here.
Thank you, Taryn. All right. And then moving right along, we have board reports. First thing to report is that we do have the election results, which have already been announced as of last year, for the 3 different positions that MOUG has open at this point, or had open, I should say. And so I will reveal these here. I'd like to congratulate all 3 of these winners. For Vice Chair, Chair-elect Keith Knopp of the University of Georgia was the elected winner. For Treasurer-elect, Amanda Scott of Middle Tennessee State University was our winner. And for the RDC Coordinator, a Reference Discovery and Collection Coordinator, for those of you who are new to MOUG, it's Lekin Danchenko. I'd like to thank the nomination committee, which was comprised of Chelsea Hoover, our MOUG board representative, Mary Huseman, and of course the chair, Melissa Mull, who all beat the bushes of MOUG for a very good slate of candidates this year. And I do want to thank everyone who was willing to run in this, because the viability of our organization very much depends on service of this type. So congratulations to these 3 winners. We also have a few board adjacent positions that are generally renewed from year to year or every 2 years, depending on what it is. I just want to make sure that's on everyone's radar as to who they are. Michelle Hahn was had her term renewed as web editor last summer. Autumn Faulkner is the current MOUG OLAC liaison over the past year. It renews over 2 years, and I believe it's up for renewal again this year. But that is done in consultation with OLAC. Our e-ballot manager, Molly O'Brien, has been serving as e-ballot manager for a number of years now, and we thank her very, very much for her service. She has informed me that she's not going to be able to continue in this position, so if there's anyone in MOUG land, and there will be an official call made for this later, who would like to serve as e-ballot manager for MOUG and is in good standing, please let me or any of our board members know, and we can certainly entertain the thought. And then finally, our MOUG L co-list owner, Morris Levy, is our current person in this position with the retirement of Nancy Sack this past year. We are aware, the board is aware that this puts both positions at OCLC, both our MOUG representative as well as Eric Childress, the permanent person at OCLC who's responsible for the MOUG L listserv. We are fine with this for the moment, but we will revisit if there is an interested party in taking on this role as well. And that takes us, if there are no further questions as to my report, into the treasurer, and I will stop my share so that Trishani can share her screen.
Give me 1 second. Jake, do you happen to have my slide deck handy by any chance?
I did. I can re-download it quickly from our wiki and see if I can.
If not, no worries. I will try to make this work.
Okay. I may be able to get it up for you in just a second. And I believe, was there anything else that I needed to download as well on that? I'm sorry. There's the financial report,
Actually,
which you have.
no,
Okay.
I got it. Yes.
Yeah,
I
okay.
guess I would just wanted to make, yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. Right, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, you can see my notes, not my screen. Okay, never mind. I gotta. All right, good. So you can't see my notes. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Hello, good to see everybody here. So I have shared the financial report. Oh, I guess I'll start with an introduction. I'm Trishani Pereira. I am your treasurer, and I have shared the financial report in the chat. Let me know if you missed it, and I'll share it again. So this is just, you're welcome to look through all the details here, but I just wanted to point out some highlights from the financial report. So this is for the 2024 year. Our fiscal year is the calendar year, which is January 1st to December 31st of 2024. So I'll start by saying, thanking a few people who made my job a lot easier last year. A big thank you to our last continuing education coordinator, Margaret. Margaret is here. I'm so glad to see you, Margaret. Margaret, thank you for being such a great partner and collaborator during the 2024 annual meeting. I'd also like to express my appreciation to Jim Zahowicz and Kayla in the MLA business office, who were patient and incredibly helpful in processing registrations through MLA system for the 2024 conference. Many thanks to the MLA Web Committee colleagues for their support in seamlessly integrating everyone into the CVent system last year for our first hybrid conference in 2024. So now for some highlights from the Treasurer's report. Overall, MOUG is in strong financial health. Even during a year of financial challenges for many, you continue to support MOUG through memberships, institutional subscriptions, and donations. So we are grateful and thank you for your ongoing commitment to MOUG. While membership numbers are showing a decline, our conference attendance and related income have remained consistent over the past few years. Our first hybrid conference was a great success. We did have to raise registration costs last year to cover new expenses such as streaming, but thanks to your support, we were able to break even, so yay. Speaking of conferences, I also want to extend a special thank you to everyone who's attending this year's virtual conference. We truly appreciate your continued interest in our educational offerings. So just sticking with some investments updates here. We decided to switch our financial institution to the First Internet Bank a couple of years ago, and that has proven to be a very good financial decision. We continue to see increases in interest income from both our operating accounts and our investments. In 2024, we moved some funds from the checking account to the savings account to further increase our passive income. So this is just a tabular form of some of the data that's in the report. From January 1st to December 31st, our assets increased by nearly 14,000. The actual number is here, 13,882 and 39 cents. While we would have had a much smaller margin for net gain, steady interest income and a generous donation from our beloved Jay Whites, who's here, hi Jay, helped us maintain a positive net gain despite high annual meeting expenses. Without donations, our net gain would have been just over 3,200. The summer board meeting was held virtually for the 5th year. So the board has met virtually in the summer from 2020 through 2024, which has also helped to keep our operational costs low. I want to highlight that the decrease here in our checking account is due to that transfer I mentioned earlier. We transferred 35,000 from the checking to the savings. So that's why you're seeing a negative balance here for the overall change. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who donated to MOUG. Your continued support and investment in MOUG's future help ensure we can navigate economic uncertainties while managing rising costs and a decline in membership. So looking at the operations income here a little bit in graph form, this is a snapshot of our operations income The largest portion of our income for 2024 came from donations. Memberships, both personal and institutional accounts, account for 35% of our total income. And here's a snapshot of our operating expenses for 2024. I'll start with the medium blue here, 21%. Board meetings account for about 1/5 of our operating expenses, a percentage that has remained stable. This is largely due to limited reimbursements for winter board meetings. Board members' home institutions continue to cover some of the costs associated with meeting attendance. Our largest expense, shown in orange, 42%, is the 3-issue printed newsletter. Printing costs have been rising. This year, we saw a $500 increase compared to last year, 2023, despite a decline in membership numbers. Website and membership platform fees, which is shown in light blue, 26%, make up just over 1/4 of our operating expenses. There are 2 annual payments for the website, one for hosting and the other for the treasurer and CEC emails. Membership platform fees are paid monthly. In 2025, we will likely need to switch to an annual payment process to avoid an upcoming cost increase associated with monthly payments. In 2024, we observed a decrease in other platform fees since we didn't have our own registration. So many thanks to MLA for supporting us to do contiguous registrations for the contiguous conferences. We anticipate this expense returning in 2025 since we did process our registration on our own this year, and there will be Eventbrite platform fees to account for next year. Here's a summary of the 2024 meeting income and expenses. A detailed breakdown is available in the financial report. So when we had, just a little bit of background details, when we had virtual conferences, our expenses typically ranged between $2,500 and $3,000. Last year, for our first hybrid conference, our meeting expenses increased by 165%, rising from about $2,800 in 2023 to almost $7,500 in 2024. Some key expenses to note for the financial report, and these are available in front of you too. Catering costs have doubled compared to pre-COVID years. For the first time, we incurred a meeting room fee, which was not previously charged for MOUG's in-person meetings. We also paid a hefty streaming and tech setup fee for the hybrid format. Charges for 1 day of streaming came to about $2,500. And then just looking at numbers, we had 101 conference attendees at our first hybrid conference. And last year's membership was a total of 185 members, 123 personal members, and 62 institutional subscriptions. And finally, I'd like to share a comparison of the financial summaries over the past 5 years. I'll leave this slide up for a few minutes for you to look at the data closely. So looking at operational expenses, which is the second row here, operational expenses have varied due to several factors. While platform fees and newsletter costs have increased, other expenses such as board meeting travel reimbursements have decreased. So that's kind of why this is all over the place. The most unpredictable area for us is meeting income and expenses. And as you can see, we did have 3 virtual conferences in the middle. While attendance has fluctuated, virtual conferences consistently attract higher participation. In 2024, we saw a slight increase. We had to slightly increase the registration rate to cover anticipated streaming costs. So for the 2025 meeting, which is not reflected in this table, we reduced the registration rate to offer you some relief following last year's rate increase. I'll wrap up by thanking you once again for supporting MOUG and its mission. Your continued membership and donations are vital for us to meet the professional development needs of our members. This is the best email to contact me. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out anytime. Thank you.
Any questions from the membership to Trishani regarding the report? Or you can email them. All right. If not, our next report would be the Continuing Education Coordinator, Janice Bonker.
Hello, everyone. So I want to thank, first of all, our program committee, which was made up of myself, Christy Berglund, Suzanne Lovejoy, Margaret Corby, and Jake Schaub as ex officio. They did a great job and helped me a lot. You probably all know, but I'll say it again. We decided to get a specific email for the continuing education coordinator so that there would remain continuity. After I leave this position, the email would remain the same for the next coordinator, etc. That has seemed to work pretty well, although I learned that the reason I cannot send messages from that email to the listserv is because I did not join the listserv with that email. So I will fix that. It's been a little bit, I feel like I'm sometimes a split personality with emails, but whatever. So the reason I decided to set up one meeting for each day is because that will make it easier for me to get the recordings ready. We're really pleased that my institution, BYU, was willing to host us and take care of the recording for us. And we had 128 registered attendees for our meeting. Yay, thanks for coming. The last thing I did was I helped update the MOUG handbook because there was nothing in there about virtual meetings. And so we wrote some text in there about how to do that. And that is all I have to say.
Trying to unmute here. Sorry about that. I guess our next report is Morris Levy, our OCLC liaison.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me. It looks like the charger to which I was plugged in wasn't actually charging. And so I'm now on my phone, but still enjoying the meeting, even on my phone. So I shared in the chat the latest news from OCLC. So please feel free to read that at your leisure. Just to let you know some things that I've been working on here. As you know, I am, of course, the liaison to MOUG, as well as the liaison to MLA, as well as the liaison to OLAC. So been wearing various hats and happy to do it. I am contributing to the newsletters in both the news from OCLC as well as a column that answers your questions. So please continue to share those questions with me. If always need more material, so I really appreciate when you do write, and you can write to me directly or write to AskQC@OCLC. So some of the things that I'm working on, besides answering the AskQC questions and contributing to the newsletters, one of the projects that I'm really excited about working on is I've been doing a lot of work with accessibility metadata, and was fortunate enough last month to participate in an ISO Plus meeting in Baltimore, at which we're discussing a using the fields 341 and 532 to not only include accessibility metadata, but to go beyond using schema.org language, but also using Onyx language, which would be really useful for publishers who wish to contribute information about accessibility. All of this in preparation for the European Accessibility Act, which will go into effect this June. So the publishers are very interested. We're very interested at OCLC in having that accessibility metadata available. I don't know if there are, of course I can go on, but I don't know how we're doing for time. So I'll leave it at that. And if there are any questions, be happy to answer them here, or if you'd like to share with me through email your questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Morris. Okay. Next on our agenda is a report from our MOUG OLAC liaison. Autumn, if you'd like to present something, we're more than willing to hear it.
Hi there, everyone. Nice to see some MOOC faces. For the new members in the group, welcome. My name's Autumn Faulkner. I work at Michigan State University. My job is to keep MOOG apprised of the activities of a similar professional organization called OLAC. We go by our acronym now, but it used to refer to Online Audiovisual Catalogers. So a brethren, if you will, of non-print catalogers, focused on many different types of non-print materials. So some overlap in interest and practice between our two groups. The updates I have for you today, and I will drop a link in the chat for you as well. Oh Lord, of course it went out of my head. The CCDA, the name of that committee, the Cataloging Committee for Description and Access. Did I get that right? Yes, yes. Okay. CCDA typically has an OLAC liaison on the group. Kelly McGrath, who has been an outstanding liaison in that role for some time now, is an outgoing liaison, and OLAC is on the hunt for someone who would like to pick up that role. If anyone is interested in being a part of that work, Kelly is happy to talk with folks about what that involves. I know we have a lot of OLAC members in the crowd. For those of you who are not OLAC members, it's a great organization to join if non-print materials cross your desk regularly. A lot of good advice and guidance. And it's important for organizations like OLAC and MOOC to have these seats on groups that discuss cataloging practice and policy. So if you are interested in that work, give Kelly McGrath a shout, and also the OLAC board would be happy to take some questions. Other things going on with OLAC include work to incorporate the various best practices documents that OLAC has authored into the new official RDA. So those of you who have attended any of the trainings or familiarized yourself with the structure, there's quite a difference between the original RDA and the official RDA in terms of the way it incorporates cataloging guidance from different bodies and documents. So there's some logistical work happening. OLAC has established a new task force to carry this out, the OLAC Unified Best Practices Task Force. So we can expect to see OLAC guidance incorporated into the official RDA in the future. Finally, the OLAC 2024 conference took place last October. It was a great meeting, a lot of good content and discussion. The OLAC newsletter contains detailed summaries of the sessions, but as always, conference presentations and materials will be available online in the OLAC repository in a few months. So if you're interested in checking out the kind of stuff that OLAC is up to, those conference materials have a lot of good information. That is everything from me, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Autumn.
Cool, thanks.
All right, let's see if I can. Okay, well, that brings us to the MOUG Distinguished Service Award. So, now every year, actually it doesn't have to be every year necessarily, this award was established to recognize and honor those who have made significant professional contributions to OCLC users in the area of music and cataloging. And this year, the executive board of the Music OCLC Users Group is privileged to name Margaret Corby of Kansas State University as the 21st recipient of this award. And I guess I'm hoping we'll probably camera out to Margaret at some point, but before I do that, there is a letter that came with the award that I would like to read before we get to that point. And I'll just continue. Over the past few decades, Margaret has exhibited a seemingly tireless willingness for service to the music library, to the music cataloging community. She began this journey with a BA in English and Music from Marymount College of Kansas in Salina, which I believe is where she's from originally, which was followed by a Master of Library Science with music specialization from Indiana University. She then took a position as a music cataloger and associate librarian at the University of North Florida, served as the music librarian at the George F. Devine Music Library at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, and currently is serving as the associate professor and metadata librarian at the Hale Library at Kansas State University in Manhattan, Kansas, where she has served since 2005. However, her activities and influence extend far beyond. Over the years, she has been active in the music library community, both on regional and national levels. She has served on the boards of both the Southeast and the Mountain Plains chapters of the Music Library Association, and chaired the authority subcommittee in the Cataloging and Metadata Committee of the Music Library Association. Also within MLA, she coordinated the Alma Sisters Users Interest Group for 8 solid years, single-handedly. She has also been active in the NACO Music Project, especially as a trainer, and has given papers and taught workshops for MLA, for MOUG, and for OLAC. Within our own organization, Margaret was the last editor for the final issue of the Best of MOUG. She has been on the MOUG program committee more times than I was able to count. And most recently, she served 2 consecutive terms as the MOUG Continuing Education Coordinator. And as current MOUG Continuing Education Coordinator, Janice Bunker can probably attest, there's a lot that goes into this position, and she did 2 of them in a row. Margaret was initially nominated for this award by her colleague, Lynn Jaffe, but all of us at MOUG can attest to her professionalism, her approachability, and the influence she has had on a community far beyond the borders of her own institution. She is known as an outstanding colleague, a teacher, and a friend to many. And we would like to congratulate her in this small way that our close-knit organization can manage, and hope the very best to her for years to come. Thank you, Margaret. If you happen to be in the room, feel free to say something so the camera can see you.
Well, thank you, Jake, and I would especially like to thank MOUG for this award. MOUG is a group that is near and dear to my heart, and my sincere wish is that this group continues to flourish for many years and has an outstanding role in training our new music librarians for years to come. So thank you all.
Thank you, Margaret. All right. Ian, let's see if I can get this to work again. Other announcements and new business. There is one notable thing that the board has discussed over the past year that would be of interest to the membership. As many former MOUG board members probably recall, the summer board meeting was traditionally a pilgrimage of sorts to Columbus, Ohio. And they stayed at a bed and breakfast, and they met all day at Jay White's house down the street and paid a visit to and met with OCLC. Since the pandemic, as Trishani said in her presentation, this meeting has not been held in person at all, and the bed and breakfast has since been sold. But at this past summer board meeting, we did decide to try to reinstate this practice of meeting in person over the summer, not least since it reinforces our relationship with OCLC if we show up in person. This wouldn't be done every year, but only for those years when the regular MOVE conference meeting is to be held virtually, for example, this year. And that schedule is currently on a 3-year timeline. And also, naturally, since our virtual meeting schedule was determined in no small part by MLA's own meeting plans and their associated contracts with CVent, if MLA changes, we might have to rediscuss this practice locally. But for now, we want to see how this goes for this summer, not least since our budget is rather healthy, as you've just heard from our treasurer. So just to let people know, and we'll let you know how it goes. For the good of the order, there are a number of acknowledgements we'd like to make for the annual meeting. First of all, we want to thank OCLC for putting some of the, I guess we didn't actually print this out, for putting some of the formatting for the virtual program together and all their support otherwise. I'd like to reiterate Janice's thanks to Brigham Young University for being willing to host the Zoom for this meeting. And also many thanks to my fellow MOOC board members, especially Janice, in corralling this whole program together. This is not a small task at all. And we do have some thanks to outgoing board members that need to be covered. We have 3 of them that are departing from us this year. First of all, Jeff Lyon. Jeff is also at Brigham Young University, and he and I happened to grow up only one valley apart, although we didn't know each other at the time. And I first met him through MOOG, as it happens. He has served in various stages of the MOOG treasurer position, because it changes over the 4 years. And he's done that. And during that time, he has ably managed our finances and advised accordingly on them, as well as being the first MOOG treasurer to pick up this position completely virtually, given the onset of the pandemic. I'd like to thank you, Jeff, for your years of service to MOOG, and we hope to see you again in the future, certainly. Secondly, Suzanne Eggleston Lovejoy, who is from Yale University, and she has served as our reference, discovery, and collection coordinator for the past 2 years. In this role, she has accordingly led a committee in investigating issues related to OCLC products and services, and certainly ably communicated concerns from our fussy music cataloging community to the ears of OCLC. I want to thank you, Suzanne, for your service and role in helping us to improve the user access and experience in all music matters. And thirdly, our past chair, Mary Huseman from St. Olaf College, who has served during the past 4 years as vice chair, chair, and now past chair, as I said. In addition to her calm demeanor and strong leadership, I have found her to be an excellent resource and guide for this position, and she has shown a huge amount of patience when I fly at things in my usual sudden and disorganized way. I want to thank you for helping MOOG to carry on through thick and thin over the past 4 years as we continue to learn what our mission is to be in the future. And finally, I'd like to thank everyone in the membership for your ongoing support over decades, in the case of many, for years of professional service for many of you, and the willingness to meet together in collegiality in some form every year since our founding 47 years ago. Over the decades, the world around us and the profession in which we apply ourselves has been changed in many ways, both technologically, academically, and even politically in some cases. We don't always know what the future portends as this environment continues to change, but I do trust that we will continue to bring our knowledge and skills to the table and will continue to defend what our profession values and requires, and will continue to collaborate with one another in all of the ways we can. Thank you all. And that leaves us at a possible adjournment. Before we actually do a formal adjournment, I'd like to point out that we have a meeting evaluation form. You can see a QR code in front of you, and that is also represented in the PDF file that was distributed by chat. And then, of course, there is the HTTP link down below that as well. Before I pursue adjournment, do we have any further questions from the membership? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn this business meeting? And by the way, to my fellow board members, if there's anything that I'm not catching in the chat, please let me know. Okay, I have, for the benefit of our Secretary, Bruce Evans is so moved to adjourn, and Lynn Jaffe has seconded. Do I, all in favor, say aye, raise your hand, do something relevant. We have over 20. Any opposed who wants to stay in this meeting forever? All right, it's a little confusing which ones are for or opposed, but I'm going to assume they're for because it's a weird environment. Let us consider ourselves adjourned, and we will see you all tomorrow for the second half of our MOUG meeting. Thank you all.